Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Hoop Form NBA podcast. As always, Spence Slikerman and Adam Elder in the building, ready to tackle all the news, action, and drama that this league provides us on a nightly basis. And what a night it was last night in the NBA. The first ever champion of the NBA in-season tournament was crowned. The winners of the first ever NBA Cup, the Los Angeles Lakers, led by none other than LeBron James and Anthony Davis, most importantly. My goodness, 41 minutes. He puts up 41 points.
40-ounce sirloin last night.
41 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 assists. My goodness, Adam, wouldn't you know, this guy is dominant when he wants to be.
How many blocks? 4 blocks?
4 blocks, handful of steals. Let's see here. How many steals did he have? No steals.
Played I would say 90% of the first quarter too. Played the majority big time minutes last night.
Took a couple of falls even and kept rolling. Took
contact and kept going. He looks very in shape. I'm actually really happy. He hit a couple. I even messaged you last night. He hit one sidestep mid-range shot that I was like, okay, we got a little bubble action going on here. Like
the jumper was out there, dude.
Yeah, I think he had at least 2 mid-range.
Yeah,
it's like
no, nice. He had a couple. He had a couple middies, and he had that one where he got knocked down, but it still went in.
Yes,
that one was
where
nice.
He kind of threw it in.
His best one was from the baseline, though. He had a nice one from the baseline, but. I mean, he played phenomenal, and the defense could not go understated, and it continues to basically be that way. Like, he is undeniable on the defensive end. What's crazy is I think they are playing well enough right now to where maybe he doesn't have to put up 41 every night. Maybe he could get you 20 to 25 a night, which I think that's pretty reasonable of him to do. But that defense is enough to just create so many opportunities for this team. And you saw it last night, and he capitalized on those opportunities himself. He took care of the mismatches. He reacted quick in the double teams, and he just looked like an absolute monster out there. And when he does that, I mean, he's a top 7, top 5 player in the league, and that's not even hot. But LeBron James is no slouch in this situation either, just absolutely cooking last night as old man James, playing out of his mind. He shot 47% from the field, 80% from the line. 11 rebounds, 24 points, 4 assists. He had 2 steals. So LeBron absolutely dominant as well in this game. From the tip, these guys were locked in, and you could tell they elevated everyone around them.
I think what matters the most against this Pacers team, and I think that you probably noticed this as well, is that the Lakers start 4 guys that are 6'7", and the Pacers cannot defend on the perimeter. Like you said, they run guys off the line, 3s or more than 2s, and that's what we shoot. So, and the Lakers were like, okay, that plays right into our hand because we will make every paint shot. We will take every shot in the paint. Don't make us shoot 31 threes. We will take every paint shot.
Put us on the line, put us in the paint, and we're going to dominate you. Good luck. Yep. And then not only that, I mean, we can still get out in transition if we want to, too, because the Lakers were playing well in transition last night as well. But that's what it really came down to for me is like, Indiana only executed half their game plan. Yeah, you ran them off the line. Sure, the Lakers went 2 of 13 from 3. We get it. You shut them down from 3. They didn't have an option. I don't think they wanted the option, to your point. I think the Lakers were like, okay, fine, because you know what? We're going to just shut you down on the offense. We're going to make sure Haliburton ain't shit. He had 7 points in the first half. Yeah. They shut him down. I mean, they absolutely shut him down.
None of his little fadeaway bag stuff from 6 feet behind the 3-point line. He made one of those in the first 4 minutes of the game, and that was it.
And I'm not here to discredit that guy at all. I loved what Haliburton did this whole run. I love what he's still doing. But I was talking to Mitch about this. We saw last night the deficiencies of a young team truly getting exposed. And it's not like, oh, they're exposed, like they're trash, they're nothing. No, I'm not even close to saying that. I'm just saying there's real deficiencies there, especially on the defensive end. We know that type of game plan ultimately fails against a team like the Lakers, aka the Houston Rockets in the bubble.
Yeah.
Tried to do that. What happened to those guys? You remember them? Yeah, they got bounced on the way to a Lakers championship. So, yeah, I mean, we've seen this style of play before. And although it's a little bit different because Haliburton's so, unique and different in the way he looks, and it's not exactly as fluent as what James Harden used to put up and everything. It's ultimately a similar style of basketball. And I think it got exposed last night against a dominant defensive large team. Like you said, everyone's 6'5", 6'7" on that lineup. So what are you going to do? And Austin Reeves, holy shit. I mean, 22 points in, what was it? 12 minutes? 22 points, I think, in 12 minutes. It was like minutes. From the end.
Oh, yeah, in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, from the end of the first to the end of the second, he put up 22 points because the second quarter, he just balled out of his mind.
Did you see that fade? He had one crossover fadeaway mid-range that made the whole crowd go, oh, but he missed the shot. He had the, I think he got switched on the Turner. He got switched on the Turner and just absolutely cooked him.
Yeah, he did cook him. It looked nice. He was playing flashy last night. It was awesome.
That actually, that's one guy that I would bring up that you were talking about. The Pacers, I wouldn't say, got exposed, but I think that Miles Turner was exposed a little.
Okay.
Because my thought watching him, I'm like, he's more cat than we want to admit. Like he's got the shot blocking, but body to body against Anthony Davis,
three.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, he loves to shoot the three, but I mean, everything else, the three doesn't look great.
No.
And he's really not a rimmed protector. He's a shot blocker.
Not truly.
Right. Because when it came down to it, he was just getting bodied in the post.
Mm-hmm.
And it took like a guy like Reeves getting brave on him before he could get a block. Because I think he sent Reeves back pretty hard one time, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Like on a switch. So that was the only part of the Pacers' real ideology that I was like kind of actually questioning last night. That and like Buddy Hield was just so cold. Buddy Hield was like unbelievably cold last night.
Their whole team was cold. They went 10 of 41 from three. So that's what I mean.
That was not even a factor in this game.
The second half of their game plan just was not executed well. Yeah, you ran them off the line, but you didn't hit your threes. So the math didn't math. It didn't add up. It simply didn't. And as a result, you lose the game. But hey, they stuck with them. Into the first half, it was a 5-point game. And they showed clips of Tyrese walking off the court because he was mic'd up. He's like, it's all right. We're down 5. They weren't worried. And there was points throughout the third where they kept it close. And there was even points in the fourth. I think 6 minutes in the fourth, it was still getting a little hot.
Yeah. It took the Lakers pulling away with that like 13-0 run in the last 3 minutes that actually sealed it. Because do you remember at like the very bottom, it was like 7-0 Lakers run. And then like 2 minutes later, 9-0 Lakers run. And then it was 13-0 Lakers run. I was like, they just have no answers in the clutch for any of this. Like the Lakers were just gone at that point.
Not with the way LeBron was locked in last night. And I heard clips from LeBron too, from maybe the mics on the floor or something, and how much he was communicating last night, dude. I mean, he was directing everything, and not that he's not doing that on a nightly basis, but you could feel the energy from him in his voice, what he was directing the whole entire team. It was different last night. He was on a different level. He played phenomenal. He had some great finishes. But yeah, I mean, this was awesome for them. They got paid. These guys get paid, and that's fun. I think it's awesome that this went exactly how I wanted it to, because I predict my one more take there a few episodes ago was Pacers Lakers in the in-season tournament, and we got it. And it went how I thought it would go. I went how that matchup thought it would go. Lakers handled their business. I'm very impressed.
LeBron just can't not be involved in the debut of a new NBA like asset, is what it is.
This thing's going to get named after him, is it not?
Maybe. Not if he's
is this thing not going to get named after him?
Not if he's an owner, I don't think. It might be like a 2040 decision.
He's going to have an award named after him. There's no way he doesn't have an award named after him.
They'll probably name the entire All NBA first team. Like the LeBron James All NBA First Team Award.
That's not
everybody
a bad idea.
Everybody the LeBron James Award.
That's not a bad idea. So in terms of the in-season tournament overall, Adam, I mean, give it a rating. Just give me a rating right now. 1 out of 10.
8.2 out of 10.
Okay.
I think it's pretty strong. I think it was a pretty
and
strong
mainly for the
showing.
quarterfinals on, right?
Yeah, I mean, the tournament basketball was good. I think, D'Lo is obviously feeling some type of way now that he's part of winning basketball and a tournament structure. But he's talking about how it's preview. This is a sneak peek. I'm like,
He needs
all
to chill
right,
out.
dude. I know. I'm like, dude, you don't want to be the guy that's traded because he had me going last night, man. Like the first 8 minutes of the game with D'Lo, I was like, this is everything he needs to be. He was doing his normal shit where he's just handling the ball well. He's looking for Anthony Davis. He had a beautiful pass that went right underneath Bruce Brown's fingers for AD, just right running down the lane. And I was like, okay, that was flawless. He was playing point guard last night. He was doing his
decision making was way more on point than it usually is, dude.
Very clear. Clear. I was loving what I was seeing from D'Lo alone. Even though he had 2 points and 3 assists, I'm like, he is making this team work on a playmaking level. And it just he was doing his little Chris Paul back down from 18 feet where he was putting out his arm like this. And all of a sudden I was like, this creates 6 different lanes. You got 2 spot up shooters on the outside. You have 2 guys there in the paint and he's up and looking. Now, granted, he ended up being cold for the rest of the game, but I was like, D'Lo, it can be such an important starter for this team. That's what his role should be. His role should be, can I make an immediate impact in the first 16 minutes of this game?
And not only that, those lanes that opens up, dude, creates so many opportunities for LeBron when he's when he's cutting like he did in fucking Miami right now, dude.
And
I mean, they're cutting at an elite level, I feel is at least that's what it looks like in moments like that.
I think so too. I think Darvin Ham is we got the athletes to cut all over the lane. Because there was even a time where Reddish was just strolling in front of the rim and there was no one there. And D'Lo just didn't see him. Or it was just too difficult of a pass to get him to. But I'm like, these guys they're finding ways to get open all the time. And of course Reddish is going to score.
Reddish had one of their threes. Huge three in the fourth as an answer.
Yeah, it was one of those closer threes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. A lot of work. I would say overall for me, I would say just because of how I thought the group play was a little bit clunky and needs cleaned up, and how I thought some of the uniforms and courts were a little rough, I'm going to go a little bit lower, maybe 7.2, a low 7, somewhere there, not quite just a clean 7, but not really a 7.5. I'm going to be real picky, but it was pretty awesome from the quarterfinals on. And to see an underdog story like the Pacers, that's what you want to see. You want to see a small market like that make some noise. And then ultimately they run into the juggernaut, the final boss, and the final boss wins. I mean, this is just what LeBron James does. He stamps his name on whatever he can, and he did it here. And you love to see it.
His guy was the guy.
Exactly.
Yes. His guy was the guy.
Yeah. Anthony Davis really, really stepped up here. The Vegas crowd was cool. I liked how they had the arena blacked out for these games. I liked that. I like the way the courts looked in Vegas in general. I think out of all the courts, those were the best ones. They weren't too much. I think they were done tastefully in terms of color scheme. It was appropriate. Some of the clunky things though for me were and they just do these things regardless, but the halftime stuff during between the Pacers and the Pacers Bucks and the Lakers Pelicans, that stuff that they did was just really rough. They had who was it? Nelly
Cruz,
and
right? Or they did
they did that, but they did the singing competition too. It was Nelly versus TLC or something, and I don't know.
Vegas. They're gonna have performers, it's got to be a show, I guess.
It was executed really awkwardly though. If you go back and watch any of it, it was It's honestly worth watching just because of how like awkward it was. Me and Summer were both just like, what is
I think
like,
that's
this is not
just
so bad.
the Vegas sprinkle on things that things always end up being, because when F1 was in Las Vegas too, a lot of their things were just like cringe because they had famous people just coming out of like corners everywhere. You have the singing competition for the NBA halftime shows. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's really bizarre, but it's just like,
And I guess people were pissed too because they had to like leave in between those games too. Like they completely cleaned out the arena and then you had to come back. It was 2 separate tickets. You didn't buy but there was a lot of people who bought both tickets. But even when they bought both tickets, they still assumed like, oh, we might just be able to like, no, you don't get to stay in the arena between games. They cleaned you out. So that was, I guess, like got a lot of heat too for the event in Vegas. My biggest idea, I guess, like going forward would be with obviously where we've already beat it to a dead horse, toning down the uniforms in the courts to a certain degree. But I think also making group play start in December, because I think this whole thing started a little bit too early to be like the in-season tournament, personally.
Yeah.
I think it should wrap around Christmas, maybe if not New Year's, and let the whole month of December be group play into the tournament. Let the whole month, just every night, instead of your Friday and your Tuesday, let it just run the whole month. Like, let it really be something that happens for this stretch. And then you have a cool down period in January. You have the trade deadline in February. And then you're in the second half of the season, and then shit's getting real. Yeah. Like, I think that works as a schedule. And plus, that's going to make even more hype around the Christmas Day games if they're counting towards the tournament, which is about to be ending. Yeah. Right. On Christmas Day, like, and then like the finals would be on like New Year's or something like that. Like, that would be lit, I think.
Yeah, that would actually be really nice. Yeah. Or you could also do this. What if there was like a ladder to the prize money? Like, I know each player got 500,000.
There was, though. There already was. I found that out. There already was. So like the Pacers made $50,000 alone to make it initially to Vegas, I believe it was. So like each team, there already was a pay structure.
Okay.
So some of the team, so I think every team that made it to Vegas got paid some amount. I think like the first check was like 50,000 or something like that. Yeah. At the end, dumb. So the Pacers still end with 200,000 for being second place. They still end with 200,000.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. That's 80% of a D'Angelo Russell vacation, but yeah, that's pretty good.
Dude, one of the guys, I can't remember who it was they said, but the announcers were like, so-and-so on the Pacers, I don't know, he's probably like their 12th man, 46% of his salary. That was 46% of his salary. So even though they lost, that man just got one hell of a stimulus check. Yep. Like, holy shit.
Exactly. So, that's why, like, you get these good performances from guys or guys that want to contribute, because, you know, not everyone's your Anthony Davis, LeBron James, maxed out, max contract. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Haliburton himself, like, and you know, what's funny too, is that I saw Haliburton's contract again today, and he's 5 for 260 if he makes first team All NBA within that time frame. And now we're looking at this first year, like, he might just do that. Like, maybe we'll see. But like, I was like, that's an
pretty damn good.
But yeah, I mean, not everyone's those level of guys, and you can pull in some pretty serious money. And the Lakers, the rich just get richer.
Well, and even LeBron said it. I mean, LeBron straight up said it in his award speech when he got the in-season MVP, which I think a lot of people were giving him shit for, but the context is there. It's for the whole tournament. It's not just for that game. Everyone's like, that should have been AD. I'm like, no, we're talking the whole tournament. Like, yes, AD was phenomenal.
The last game, LeBron hit like, 6 threes?
Yeah, and pulling from the logo. Like, yeah. But LeBron mentioned the money right away in that speech. Like, yeah, we wanted to get these guys paid. Like, that's, I mean, this is what it's about, really. And the NBA knows that, and that's why they had to incentivize it. I would say maybe increase the money, too, even. You know what?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, if you're the 4 seed like the Pacers were, maybe you get, like, a 15%, like, boost onto that prize money. So now it's, like, $590K. $620K. Like, you just can push it up a little bit more. But
yeah,
I mean, ultimately, I'd say going forward, I think 70% of the framework is there for this to continue to be successful. I think they figured out some good things from it. And yeah, like there's a lot of incentivizing around the NBA schedule that could make it a lot more attractive, especially if it doesn't start, because it was like 4 games into the season when they started this. And I was like, oh, like they really are starting this early. And like the group play kind of just went so quick.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like it would have mattered more if it wasn't just Tuesdays and Friday nights. That was fun at first. It was like the first few episodes we did. It was like, yeah, IST Tuesdays. You know what I mean? This is cool. Like, I remember like sitting down to watch it. I was kind of getting excited. But now that I'm looking back and like perspective, I'm like, I think it would be better if one, it started a little bit later. I think it was boom, boom, boom. And 2, I think you just need to make it last longer. And I think that'll have even more impact, and maybe clean up some of the like the point differential stuff and everything like that too. Because
that's not going away. That's betting lines.
Yeah, they love the complexities of that shit. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Last thing I'll say on it is, how do you feel about it always being in Vegas?
I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty good.
You think that'll hold?
Especially because if Vegas is a neutral site, I think that gives it more water. But if it's, a LeBron James-led franchise,
that's what I'm saying.
Las Vegas LeBron's there.
Exactly.
I mean, that kind of cheapens that because obviously, this was a home game for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Lakers fans live way too close to Las Vegas. I mean, Lakers fans are everywhere. But there's going to be a conglomeration of Lakers fans and Lakers fans, even in Vegas, that are going to be there cheering for them.
The celebrities that pulled up, it looked like a fucking Lakers game out there.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that Las Vegas is now being turned into the city of sin gambling to now it's like sports gambling and live sports events. Like we have the premier top of the world sports events happening here that happen once a year. That level of attraction. Because what that just did. Saturday night, what that just did for Las Vegas, like that was a huge night. Huge
boost. Yeah.
So
I mean, all the nights, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, and you're always going to have people how many people from Indiana, that are season ticket holders for the Pacers showed up to that game last night? Less than 4%, probably 4 to 5%. I don't think your average Indiana Pacers basketball home game enjoyer is going to be flying out to Vegas for those things, but you're still going to attract the top 10% of fans in those higher brackets that are going to, just, hey man, let's go to Vegas and go see the in-season tournament and go to the Bellagio, go to the MGM and that kind of stuff,
Spend some money.
It's just too much money going around for it to ever not be bad that it's in Vegas. And the fact that it's Vegas alone made it kind of fun too. So I think that
I agree. I agree with all of that. The only thing is like Adam Silver's been quoted as recent as like weeks ago saying that once the TV deal's wrapped up in 2024, it's expansion plans. So maybe at the latest 2026, 2027, I would say 2027 at the absolute latest. We're probably looking at expansion by 2026. Probably going to be Vegas, probably going to be LeBron. It's not a neutral place anymore. So then it might be something that I think has to shift. I heard the idea of that you just stick it home and away. I mean, you just do it that way. Like the team that has the best record or whatever is the higher seed in the situation. You just play a home game because that, like you said, that was practically a Lakers home game.
It was
anyways.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, what are we talking about here? If anything, you should actually give a team a real advantage there in terms of that and just have it at their home court. But that's probably we're a couple years away from that. I think it will continue to be at Vegas for at least the next 2 seasons or whatever it is until we have a Vegas team. Because I think that's inevitable, especially after what Silver said last night as he's been announcing LeBron as the
Vegas and Seattle are next. They're next.
Yeah. He literally told LeBron, he's like, the only thing I can't give you with this award is, is a whole franchise. Sorry. He literally tongue in cheek made the joke. Like LeBron's working vaccines. Windhorse has already been alluding to it. Wilborn's already been alluding to it. These are guys that are close to LeBron, that know LeBron. Yeah, it's happening.
Just wait for the Woj bomb. The Woj bomb is going to hit like just absolute pure oxygen when we see it.
He'll have to be retired though, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't think he's going to be. If LeBron
they would not let him do that.
If LeBron is the first player, coach, franchise board member, president, lead GM, like, I don't even know. Like, it just
do they just move the Kings to Seattle and change their name to the Supersonics and then give LeBron's team Le Kings? Is that what happens? Is that what happens? Do they just call them the Le Kings?
I mean, if the Le Kings are going to be mediocre for 3 more seasons, I don't see why they wouldn't get moved. I don't know. I think that they're safe. I think that Silver is like, we need new franchises. We need expanding.
Sacramento, I would say, is far from mediocre, too. That was a little hot.
They're not impressing me this year. That's just a totally different branch. But yeah, they're not hitting for me this year. I think Harrison Barnes might just be kind of washed.
Well, I mean, he's getting up there, and he's ultimately just a role player anyway. So I think that have bigger fish to fry before they even start worrying about Harrison Barnes as a cog in the machine. But that's a whole another branch, as you said. Let's keep it rolling back over here to this LeBron and this franchise thing. I think we're 2 years away from a retirement, realistically. So if we're about 2 to 3 years away from expansion, then that's going to line up perfectly. I also think he would not be afraid to just coach right away, too. I could see him coaching almost immediately.
Do you really think Bron wants to be a coach, though? I don't know.
I think he does.
I think LeBron's executive class.
You think?
I think Bron's executive class. I think Bron's I hire people. I hire the best.
That means AD is going to LeBron's expansion team after his contract's done with the Lakers. That's all that means. That's all that means.
Bron will be a pragmatic businessman and be like, AD, I can't sign you. You're the glass man.
Oh, shit. He'd be like, we thought about trading for AD, but, he's injury prone. And then they just starts this whole feud. That'd be nuts, dude. That'd be nuts. I
have quite the feeling that Anthony Davis will retire a Laker.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you talking, like 33, 34 years old? He doesn't play much longer.
You and I know that after AD got that bubble chip, I don't think AD is a multiple chip kind of guy. He might be, but like...
They can't win one more? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, personally, AD was like, I balled the fuck out for that chip in the bubble. We were the ones that came up in those circumstances. We won it. They were already a dominant team that year, too. Like, people act like that wasn't a thing. The Lakers were like 31-9 over the first 40 games. They were a dominant team. AD was dominant. Arguably in his prime. I don't know. You can't say AD's not still in his prime. He's still in his prime. But, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting off course here. But, like, they just... He's such an enigma of a player. Like, it just, like, 2 weeks from now, he's going to have a 12-point game, 4 for 16. He's never going to hit another mid-range jumper again. Everybody's going to be like, AD's trash. He's going to have a sprained ankle for 4 weeks. Yeah. Oh, my God.
The highs and low of this guy. The way they've been playing lately, Adam, currently right now, let's see here. They are sitting 5th in the Western Conference, or 14-9. They are on a 7-3 on their last 10. 3-game win streak, but not counting the game last night. So it's not a 7-game win streak. I was a little off on that earlier. But they're still looking good right now. They're starting to kind of find their groove. I mean, they're tied with the Nuggets there at 14-9, so they're realistically the 4 seed behind Dallas, Thunder, Minnesota. I think that's right where they want to be. I think that sets them up for a good matchup. That's kind of a sweet spot in the conference there for them. I don't think there's really one particular matchup that they look at other than the Nuggets that they're worried about.
I mean, they pull a first round Clippers matchup.
I think you don't think they'd like that?
No, I think they'd like that a lot.
I think
if they're like facing down that matchup right now, they're like, we're good.
Or the Suns, even. I think they're really confident against the Suns.
Yeah, because the Suns just don't. It's the Indiana problem in a different sphere. Like they just don't have the personnel to defend in the paint. I mean, the Suns are just going to be against AD.
Yeah, the Suns are 0-3 against the Lakers this season. So, I mean,
good sign. It's a good sign.
Yeah. I think the Lakers are comfortable right now, and I think they're really finding their groove, and LeBron was hinting at that as well. I would say that my thoughts on them, just because of how messy the West is right now, how the Nuggets have been up and down as well, for me, I think this is the most, I wouldn't even say confident, but the most thought I've given towards them actually being championship contenders this season. Like, oh, this team could win a championship. Like,
solidly within that top 8 of teams.
Yeah. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. So I really, it's going to be interesting to see now as we get out of this group stage and we move forward here. Adam, I don't think we really talked about it yet, but let's look at the Christmas Day games while we're at it.
Oh, yeah. I feel like we have a good slate coming up here.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at, this is going to be on Christmas Day. It's going to be Milwaukee versus New York. So that's going to be a little rehash from the in-season tournament there. See if the Knicks can get some revenge there in a big game. Then you got Golden State versus Denver. Let's hope everyone's healthy and on the floor for that, just so we get a real competitive matchup there. Boston versus Lakers. It's going to be a absolute throwdown, dude. That's going to be a drama fest if you've ever seen one. Every time LeBron and faces Boston, it's just
Pat-Bev's going to sign a 10-day to be back on the Lakers just for that game.
It's in LA too, so it's just going to be nuts. And Bucks are at New York as well. And shouts out Denver getting the home game there as well for Christmas. And then you got the night games: Philly at Miami, which will be fun. And then Dallas at Phoenix for the nightcap. The 10:30 game is Dallas at Phoenix. So Luka trying to sun Devin, as is known on the internet. People are saying that Luka's daughter is Devin Booker's little sister. Have you seen that?
What? No.
Yeah. Yeah, because they said because Luka's his daddy, dude. Yeah. That's the take that's been going around lately.
That's mean.
Luka recently had a daughter, so that's been the take. I thought it was pretty funny, honestly. Booker's no slouch in that matchup, though. Like, Booker's had his own wins over Luka too, so it is a little hot.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Yeah. You stay reserved on that one,
man. It's that game 7 against them in 2021, the year after the Suns went to the finals, was just scary bad, whoa bad, holy shit. 76ers will probably end up being the worst game of the day, I would say.
What do you think is going to be the most entertaining? Either Dallas Suns or Boston Celtics, you think? Or Boston Lakers?
Yeah, Boston Lakers is going to be off the hook. That's going to be, unless that is literally a blowout, like if Boston just pummels the Lakers. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to be finding out what the Celtics are made of over this next month stretch. I don't think they liked going out in the tournament easy. I don't think they
as much as their fan base tried to flex about it. We don't really need this. Yeah. Yeah, I think they were salty.
I would be salty too, because I think that they were the champions of the first 4 weeks of the season because of their off-season moves, because of how good their off-season moves were.
And how good they looked to start the season too, quite frankly. Exactly. I mean, it's not that they look bad now, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think that they're going to have they're going to want to be ready for this game and see it as a showcase.
Mm-hmm.
So I would look forward to them playing well over the next few games before we get up to this one here. Warriors Nuggets also might have potential to be a snoozer depending on how bad the Warriors are looking and how much Jokic just puts on a show against that. We could see like a 46-15-14 game from Jokic that night if he's feeling Christmassy. If he's feeling like delivering. Bucks and Knicks. Now, I know you're going to love this. The Reddit superstars are bought back in on Julius Randle because of the loss that they took against the Bucks and how good Julius Randle looked in that game, because he had a take where he shoved Giannis out of the way, which got an offensive foul, but shoved Giannis, moved him, and made the bucket and had a pretty good game against the Bucks in a loss in the in-season tournament. But Julius Randle is back.
Wow. Wow, what a headline. What a headline.
Somebody said it was one of the most impressive games they'd ever seen him play.
Is it impressive enough for him to get a mention in the title of this episode? It'll be IST review.
No.
Julius Randle's return.
Julius Randle's ascension. Oh, yeah. My God.
IST review, Christmas Day breakdown, Julius Randle's ascension.
So I think that Christmas Day will end up being something. It's just always going to be something that we're looking forward to. There's always a good vibe around Christmas Day games, and there's usually something pretty good going on, because you never know. Maybe Philadelphia and Miami will be the best game out of all these. You could end up having like some kind of ridiculous playoff game or Maxey like show out game, like in like a big Christmas breakout for him or something. So there's something involved for each of these.
And the vibe is always so fun to sit down and watch basketball on Christmas Day, man. After I don't know about you, but we always have family Christmas party on Christmas Eve. So then the next day you're kind of chilling in the early part of the day and you're just watching some hoops, and it's a total vibe, man. You're kicked back. Hopefully there's some snow on the ground so you ain't got to go nowhere. And that's the best vibe, man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we got a blizzard or something so I can just chill and watch hoops,
man. That would be amazing.
Just let me watch some hoops on Christmas Day. So
I would love to have one uninterrupted day of NBA Christmas. That would be amazing. My family would never accept that. There's no way. It's borderline blasphemous.
That's awesome. So let's keep it rolling here. Adam, we're getting through December here. We're 10 days in. We're talking Christmas Day games. Before too long, Adam, we're going to be at the trade deadline, honestly. Before we know it, it's going to be here. When is it exactly, NBA trade deadline?
I feel like it's 15th of
February
January.
8th.
Oh, February 8th. Okay.
Yes, February 8th.
Pretty close to the All-Star break then.
Yeah, exactly. So it's right there at the start of February. So starting December 15th, I think there's a lot of these contracts that were signed that can be traded, and I believe there's a date in January as well. I think it might be January 15th. I think that's what you may have been thinking of. There's another date. Because I think like Karl Anthony Towns becomes available in January, technically. So we're getting into the season where like movement can technically start happening, and I think a lot of rumors are going to start kicking up, especially now that we don't have the IST to talk about. It's right back to where the fuck is Zach LaVine going to go? Is DeMar DeRozan going to get traded? It's all that shit. Now, beyond those guys, I don't know if you had anyone in mind. I think you mentioned you maybe had one person in mind that could be potentially on the move.
Last night gave me some of my first thoughts. I'm like, I think Rui's the most expendable player on the Lakers right now. I think it's Rui.
Oh, wow.
I think that he might be the guy that if the Lakers can do Rui in a pick for another wing, that's a deal I would do.
Wow.
Or another shooting guard like Reddish that would be behind Reddish and not take away from that. Because I think that he's Ham's guy. I think that he's Ham's starter.
He is.
So,
I think
I like it. I like it.
I think Braun really likes Reddish too. Because after all this talk about Rui being with Braun in the gym all season and everything, Rui does kind of look dejected out there.
He played 9 minutes last night. 9. 0 for 1.
He's dealing with the face mask, though, so...
there might still be something left for Rui. I think Rui is just such a confidence related player that it takes ebbs and flows for him to do things. I don't think consistency is really something you should ever rely on him from.
Right.
Because he's just as big as Vando. Like him and Vando are like bigger. The same size. Yeah, if anything, he's bigger. So like,
I think
he's got the size to score. But I'm like, he's so obsessed with fadeaway mid range. He really is.
He tries to play like Braun in the post.
Yeah, and it just doesn't work like that for him. When he's just more of a wing than he ever was a block guy.
He doesn't have the jump on the touch on the jumper like LeBron does in the post. He just doesn't. Yeah. LeBron can hit the fades. LeBron has added that into his game as he got older because he had to, and he really worked it in there. I mean, not that he couldn't do it when he was younger, but he really mastered it as he got older. Rui tries to, I think he takes inspiration from Braun there, but that jumper just looks clunky. His jumper reminds me of Giannis's jumper.
Yeah, like, a little bit. Just something about his release point too. It's too much like kind of just jumping, like leaning forward for him. Like it kind of ruins the idea of consistency. Because when I was watching the Lakers last night, I was like, the Lakers have 3-point guards. They have 1-2, 2 threes, which is Prince and Braun. Their only 2 is Reddish. Rui and Vando are bigs, and AD is the pivot. I think that's
still
how
have
this
Gabe
team
Vincent
works.
if he ever gets healthy too.
Exactly. Everything else, Wood, Hayes, Vincent, and Hood Schifino is just sprinkled to the rest of the team. So like everything else you're getting from that is just
Christie as well.
Addition. Yeah, Christie. Oh, did I not? Yeah. Well, I have him in my. I think he's the 3rd point guard. I think they're kind of like shaping him, saying you're a point guard. I don't think you're just a combo. I think he's a pretty good passer, and I think that Darvin Ham is telling all his guards, just keep your fucking eyes open for Anthony Davis in the block. Just keep your head up, because that seems like what their all identity is. But I think
watch for that. Watch for the mismatch that AD creates, and look for LeBron cutting, because LeBron is cutting out of his mind right now.
Right, because that's what you ideally should be doing, unless your name is Austin Reeves and you have a moderate green light.
He's authorized to cook.
Right,
he's authorized to cook, whether he's played well or not. And quite frankly, I think he's best cooking off the bench, and you see that in their win too. He comes off the bench and he has 22 points. Well, 22 points, and ends up with 28 in the game, but 22 points in the first half. That's great off the bench. That's phenomenal off the bench. That's what you want from like a third, and fourth option.
And he finishes the game.
Yeah, finishes the game. I mean, that's what a lot of guys will tell you matters the most. A lot of those high-level role players, they'll tell you that. Like, finishing the game matters more to me than starting the game, quite frankly. So, there you go. And he's got trust in that group. So
he's got LeBron level 2.5 security clearance.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
Yeah.
But I look at Rui out of that whole group of role players, and I'm like, this is the guy that's kind of fitting out the most still. Because I think that Vando is what Vando is. And they fucking threw him. They told him, your only responsibility is Haliburton last night. You switch on to Haliburton, we have the bigs to back up the rest of it. Like Isaiah Jackson's their backup 5, so we can literally throw Rui on him. So we're
not too worried about that situation.
Right. And I loved the headhunting from Vando on Haliburton last night. But I just at seeing Rui play around that, I'm like, a pick and Rui for another big guard or a wing, I think.
I say name. Give me a name.
Oh, that's the problem. Is because Rui is so plateaued in trade value right now. His trade value was maximum after 29 points against the Memphis Grizzlies.
Is it Alex Caruso?
I don't think you're getting. Maybe. You just might get Alex Caruso for that.
Just clean for Alex Caruso. You don't fucking get involved in Levine. You don't get involved in DeRozan. You don't want, and I don't care that it's an expiring contract for DeRozan. I don't care that Zach Levine allegedly fill some offensive holes for you. You get Caruso. You just fucking get Caruso. You want a guard that can slot into this rotation. There he fucking is. A defensive minded guard.
Because as soon as D'Lo is pushed off the floor for defense,
that's who comes in. That's exactly what I was going to say. That's your, D'Lo's getting cooked right now. Caruso's coming in. That's your option.
Caruso around Reddish and Prince, Braun, and AD. Yeah. Is there really a better defensive starting five in the NBA then?
I mean, Boston's going to definitely contend on that, but
yes. Okay.
At that point, I would say the Lakers have the best defender in the league. So what are we talking about? So
yeah.
I think they do have the best defender in the league in Anthony Davis. I don't think that's I don't think that's hot.
No, I don't think that's hot at all. But yeah, like I don't know, dude. Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert.
So Rui though. Rui is your thought then.
Yeah, I think Rui's the guy that if you can swing a moderately valuable wing and or big guard from that and a pick, like you send the protected 2029 and Rui, and you let Rui go to Chicago, and all of a sudden he's getting to take 18 shots a game again. Mm-hmm. Maybe that works. You never know.
On the dead Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, that might just kill Rui even more. Who knows?
If I had to say someone outside of like the Chicago guys, there's been noise around OG again, but I just don't think that's realistically going to happen by the trade deadline.
OG's a 3 picks guy. You got to have 3 picks and probably a young guy for OG.
I'm really wondering about the Warriors. Honestly. I'm like, do they do something with Chris Paul? Clay's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're not trading Clay. They won't trade that guy.
No.
Because you want to piss off Draymond and Steph in one swift motion. That's how you do it.
And I think the only way they would lose him, because I realistically, I don't think they're getting as much value back that they would truly want to recoup from trading him right now. On top of that, I don't think they would want to lose him that way. I think the only way they would want to lose him is a situation where he walks after this year, because then they can say to the media, well, he just didn't work with us on the contract. He just was not willing to negotiate with us. They can cover their own steps with that in terms of the narrative around it. If they trade him, it's just you cut him off. You just send him home. You literally broke it up. And that's not going to go over well in your fandom. It's just not. You're going to get a lot of salt for that. So I think it's Chris Paul. I think they move him. I really do. It's clunky ultimately when he's actually out there. I think Steph and him are cordial. I think that's fine, but I don't think they fit well enough to compete at the highest level. And quite frankly, this team is cheeks right now. They are.
Yeah, they're bad.
Cheeks.
They're bad. They're a bad team. And I think that by the end of this month, we're probably going to see more, public opinion that Brandon Podziemski should be playing more than Chris Paul.
Oh, it's already there. That's already there.
I think Steve Kerr is there.
Yeah.
I think he's there fully. So, I mean, if you really want to take on the bargain of 39-year-old Chris Paul playing backup elite point guard minutes for you, mm-hmm. and sharing the floor with another guy that's also not a defender anymore, and that's Steph Curry, and Clay being slotted down to the 3-4 almost.
Steph Curry, who never was a defender, let's just say that.
Got a little meat, maybe.
Got a little meat on his bones and could hold up against small guards, and that's about it.
It's just the idea that I don't think that they want, if they're going to play competitive basketball, they shouldn't want Chris Paul there.
That's what I'm saying. And he's hurt. He's hurt right now. Yeah,
I know. So, and it doesn't help that he's not even there and he's still on your team right now.
Yeah.
It's not like their other experiments are going well. Like you and I said, Moody and Kuminga, Saric, bleh. It's all just kind of blah.
I think you clear it all out. Paul, Saric, and Kuminga. Whatever. If that's 2 deals, if that's 1 deal,
if you can get OG for that, sure. Maybe Toronto wants Chris Paul. You never know. I mean, Gary Trent's bad right now. He's just straight up bad for the Raptors. Maybe you could get him for cheap because he isn't expiring. OG and Gary Trent for Chris Paul, Saric, and Kuminga.
That wouldn't be a terrible fit.
And 2 picks from the Warriors.
I think they have to if they want to actually compete.
Because apparently the whole organization's pissed at Andrew Wiggins too.
I think they're a first round exit.
I mean, yeah.
Right now.
I mean, my mind for them is playing. I'm like, they're going to have to be fighting the play-in. That's where my mind is going on Chris Paul, too. I'm like, do you want Chris Paul playing for a play-in spot?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're bad. I think that they will be someone active and trying. Actively trying.
Which
now,
is
my question to you. No, which is what?
Well, I was just going to wrap up on that. It would be different than what we're used to with them, but hey, we got Dunleavy now at the top. Dunleavy's been within the organization, obviously, but he hasn't been at the top. Now he's really running shit. Like, I know they are never been the ones for an in-season trade, but I think he might be a little bit more willing. I mean, he was willing enough to cut off Jordan Poole and make that trade. Why wouldn't he be willing to move Chris Paul? Everyone thought when they got Chris Paul, he was going to be moved before the season even started. And then going into the season, it's like, he's still a trade piece for them. Like that narrative has been there from the jump. So, and I think it's real. That's all I'll say on that, just to wrap that up. But go ahead.
I have one. Let's bring up one more talking point here that I think is still worthy and on the back burner for a lot of NBA pundits. Do you think if the Knicks call the Cleveland Cavaliers front office and say, Barrett, quickly, 3 first-round picks for Don, does that get done this year? Because there's a certain hesitancy on both sides that I think that they're both like, we're not good enough. We are not good enough right now. And you kind of wonder, neither are just straight not good enough. The Cavs are closer to mediocre than we want to admit. Not even that we want to. They just are.
They're closer to mediocre. I've been fucking sounding the horn on that from like 2 weeks in.
I mean, the media, at least the Cavs PR media has tried to clean up, the whole Don unhappy, Don wants out, Don is not re-signing, Don is not doing this and that and this. He didn't pet some front office worker's dog the other day when he saw him in the office, which should be hilarious. but like, yeah, it's just, I'm like, how many weeks away are we from the Cavs panic buying on Donovan Mitchell? Because they're like small market team.
Panic selling.
Yeah, panic selling. But small market team quickly starts now that, and I think that you could argue to yourself that maybe you could find a second deal for Jared Allen where you're bumping Mobley down to the 5, and now your 3-4 rotation is Barrett and Strus, but that's too small.
You're too. Mobley is not a 5. Mobley cannot keep up at the 5 in this league right now. He just can't. And I think
not a good idea.
That's going to really limit his ceiling overall, unfortunately. And I think we're seeing that more and more. And I think that's really going to ultimately be a big cap for them. But I do like the idea of quickly starting alongside DG. I love that.
Right. Because I think that's a battery pack move. And I think that Barrett, if Barrett's on the Cavs, he probably starts on Strus.
Yes.
And
he does.
You never know how that's going to affect someone like Strus. But I like the bench of a Strus and LeVert swap coming in to back up those guys to play a crucial 24 minutes behind them.
LeVert can cook as a playmaker when he needs to.
Right, exactly. And I love Karras. So I'm like, I still believe in him heavily that he is a contributing part to a winning NBA team because he knows what he is. And he's big. So that's huge too. Like they need a big guard. And I think the Cavs need to clean this up before they're actually staring down a Toronto Raptors like thing where they're holding their pieces so close to their chest and they just don't ever get better.
And the Knicks are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
The Knicks are historic for doing that, holding their pieces too close to their chest and not making the move. And you already missed on once. So yeah, I think if the offer is there, I think you take it.
And the Knicks just have an insane amount of tradable assets right now. Like they have the insane amount of ammunition in their pocket where they should be able to get someone.
And it might be that Cleveland has to settle for Grimes because, quite frankly, Grimes has recently been in the media about not getting a lot of opportunity, and his shot attempts have really dropped. And people are looking at Tibbs like, what are we doing with Grimes? Quickly's been more of a highlight, obviously. So it might be that the Knicks don't want to budge on Quickly, and the Cavs would have to eat Grimes, which means then you're really banking on RJ Barrett being a big boost for your team. And that I would be worried about. If you had Quickly in with that, I'd be comfortable because I'm like, that's a nice guard rotation right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that really sets you up nice, and I really would like the fit with Quickly and DG. I think it's a little bit more seamless than what we have with Don and DG, which I think just almost seems to get worse as it continues. Yeah. It doesn't seem to get better. I don't think they've really built true chemistry there. So yeah, I would do that deal. I would, even if it was Grimes, I think I would end up doing it because then maybe you could flip something else. But yeah, I think that's reasonable. I've been saying sell Don while you can before he walks.
And he's walking. I think that walking is not a fantasy at this point.
Is it after this season, or does he have a whole nother season?
Yeah, there's another season. So he'd have a year and a half left if he was traded now. So, and then
you want a whole nother year and a half of being mediocre?
Yeah, exactly. Really? Of being the 6th seed. Now, here's a counterpoint to that. When you brought up Grimes, that made me think of another team we were talking about earlier, and that's the Sacramento Kings. I think that's a good fit. Mm-hmm. If the Kings could just slide in and get Grimes from them, even if it's worth like a Alex Len or Duarte, someone like that, just trade Barnes. Do the Knicks just want to max out on 6'8" forwards and get Harrison Barnes in there too to play off the bench or even starting minutes? But like, I think that Grimes would be a great fit on the Kings. I think that'd be pretty nice.
Interesting.
He fits that BIOS because then you have 3 wings that are 6'8" that are looking to shoot around Fox and Sabonis.
Yeah, that's a lot of movement.
Yeah, and I think he fits that pace well.
Yeah, I think he would fit their pace very well. That's not a bad idea. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it there. As always, stay engaged with us across all social media platforms at the Dip Network. Stay tapped into, obviously, the Hoop Forum, but also the Longer Yard NFL podcast as well here from the Dip Network. So stay engaged with us. Let us know how you feel about our content. Let us know how you feel about our takes. Let us know your takes. We want to hear all of your takes. And as always, we appreciate any and all listeners. So like, share, rate, and review the podcast on whatever app that you use. Give us that 5-star review. We love to see it. And Adam, it never misses. It actually has missed a few times. We've literally had episodes where we've forgotten to do it. I've had an episode where I've crumbled and I couldn't even come up with an idea for it. But Adam Elder, as always, one more take.
One more take. What I was doing on my phone here was looking at the stat line for Scoot Henderson. I'm going to go ahead and read that off here. 12 games this season, has missed time. 9.3 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, 2.7 rebounds, 25 minutes, 33% from the floor, 18% from 3, 66% from the field.
Looking like a G League guy.
I mean, already was a G League guy, but 19 years old. Blazers they're a team that's not making any moves. They just bagged the fuck out of Jeremy Grant. They are
locked in. That's going to go down, baby. We are locked in on Jeremy Grant
as a Tobias Harris contract 3 years from now, where they're paying him almost $40 million a year just to be a basketball player. But I'm like on Scoot, not feeling great about it right now, to be honest with you. There's hiccups there, and I feel like he's could be Cade Cunningham-ing himself, who's had a good last week, though, and in spite of all the salt we've thrown on him this year, Cade has had a good week. His last, 6 games, he's been, 48 and 40 and, pretty well above average from the free throw line too. So Cade's had a bit of a rebound here, but there's just a thing where it's if you're so bad of a team and you have a shot creation guard like that, are they really going to improve by, being a tank commander all the time through the first 3 years. So I wonder what Scoot was going to look like by year 3, because right now I'm like, I don't want this to go Cade territory.
It'd be bad news for the Blazers.
It'd be bad news because it's already bad news on the front of dominating too. Bad news.
Oh man.
No. He is the 7th most efficient mid-range jump shooter.
Good grief. We are in deep. We are in deep on the Blazers. One more take for me. And this one might be a little complex, but I'm putting it out there because yours was long-winded. So I'll put out a complex one. If the Nuggets finish below the 3 seed, so like 4 and below, if the Nuggets finish 4 and below, which I don't think is outrageous because of the way the top 2 teams are playing, and if the Thunder finish in the top 2, I think SGA is the league MVP.
Damn.
I really do.
That could happen. We could get a year 6 SGA MVP. My God.
He's averaging 30 right now. He's been like fringe the last couple of years. He's arrived. He's arrived now. And they are literally the 2 seed. The Nuggets, even with Jamal, have had moments where it's like, oh, what's going on here? A couple hiccups here or there. I think them in Minnesota are going to keep rolling. I just think they're set to be really good regular season teams, and they're running off a high energy right now. And I think I don't think there's a case there for Ant just because of how everything is spread out across that whole team.
Because I think I think the team's success is contributing more to Rudy, Nas, and Kat are all finding space as bigs around each other.
Are able to figure it out. Yeah. I mean, and not to discredit anything that Ant is doing because he's stepping it up on the defensive end of the floor. There's definitely been that side of it. I just don't think, it's like you said, it's more because of they're figuring out that big rotation and now they're able to crack that code. For the Thunder, I mean, obviously Chet's been playing great, but everything starts and finishes with SGA for them.
Chet's been amazing.
Chet's
been amazing.
He really has. And he's playing with a lot of confidence.
J-Dub, amazing.
I don't think the rest of their team takes away from SGA in the conversation because I think that's part of the conversation for SGA is that he is elevating those guys. He's actually affecting those guys to the point that it's raising their floor. And it's awesome. It's awesome to see. I don't think it's hot.
2 seed in the West.
If they're the 2 seed in the West and the Nuggets are below the 4, if the 4 and below, because then I think that takes Jokic out. Like usually team success is enough to take a guy out of the conversation. And if you're like 4, 5, 6, if there's guys that are playing at an elite level and they're a higher seed, it's just tough to deny. And it could be a team in the East too. It could be something over there. I mean, Boston, it could be like Tatum or something.
Tatum
could take that.
Is just getting farther away. I think Tatum MVP is just getting farther away.
Yeah.
Unless it's absolutely clear that he is the absolute number 1 guy. And not like, oh, this is kind of a super team.
Mm-hmm. He'd have to have an incredible, like, post All-Star run, I feel like.
Like, with this amount of talent around him, if he was at, like, 32 a game on good efficiency, I think he'd be pretty comfortably in the MVP talk.
Yeah, because it'd be like, holy shit, they're deep, and he's still grabbing 33.
Yeah, exactly. And Bill Simmons would just die. Bill Simmons would die.
Off the record, Bill Simmons would be ejaculating all over himself.
He would.
And Kevin Connor would be below him, just like drinking.
He'd be introducing his daughter to Tatum.
Yeah. And then ejaculating all over himself with Kevin O'Connor underneath of him, cleaning up any scraps. So that's how that would work. We're going to wrap it there. Thank you. We're out. Peace.